This weekend, Iron Biby is set to break his own log lift world record, so we thought we'd take a look at the history of one of Strongman's most iconic events. So these days, log lifting is a super common event in Strongman, from the very beginner level all the way up to World's Strongest Man and the biggest shows on the planet. We have the Giants Live World Log Lifting Championships this weekend. The logs that they lift are very, very nice, beautiful bits of kit, but it wasn't always the way, was it, Auntie Liz?
No, not at all. So the first time we actually saw a max log lifting competition was the 1980 World's Strongest Man. And I mean, these were literally logs cut down in the woods. Obviously all logs are if it's wood, but these were like trunks or thick branches that just had handles cut into them, so they weren't balanced.
Cut some handles into them. They were odd shapes. There was bits of kind of, trees sticking out of them.
Maybe a squirrel.
Certainly nothing like the beautiful bits of kit that the athletes get to lift today. However, the first ever record set on the log lift at World's Strongest Man was 157 kilos, set by Lars Hedlund and Bill Kazmaier. Now, that doesn't sound that heavy when you see the likes of, some of the lighter weight categories can lift huge weights these days.
But if you look at the state of those logs.
Yeah, and you've got to understand, the athletes now are trained very specifically and technically to lift these weights. When you look back then, it was just raw power. I mean, Bill Kazmaier was lifting these logs from the side. There was no technique on the clean. They were wasting a lot of energy and just brute strength to press it overhead. So yes, the first ever record set was 157 kilos.
So the log lift returned to World's Strongest Man the following year, 1981, and this time Bill Kazmaier took it for himself, setting a new world record at 163 kilos.
So that record held for 7 years until 1988, when Bill Kazmaier returned to the World's Strongest Man and he took the record up to 170 kilos.
Nice round numbers now. So the following year, in 1989, Jamie Reeves took the record up to 175 kilos. And these are quite big jumps, which I think shows the potential on the log at the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we started to see more metal logs coming into play, different types of logs. Logs were coming up in other competitions rather than just one competition a year. Athletes were starting to kind of get their own bits of kit and train a little bit on these certain events. So we're starting to see that progress, not necessarily in strength, but in terms of technique, things were improving. And in 1992, Jamie Reeves took the weight up once again, this time to 180 kilos. Now we're starting to get some weight on the bar.
So incredibly, that record held for 10 years, and it wasn't until 2002 that Sven Karlsson took it up to 185 kilos at the Strongman Super Series in Sweden.
Now, I've got a theory of why that record lasted so long. In this time period in Strongman, there was a lot more fitness-based events going on. There was a lot more repetitions. We saw it was like incline log or lighter logs for reps were being done.
A lot of the times, the barriers were the fact that we just didn't have max log in competition,
Absolutely.
or we didn't have those best athletes at those competitions.
That's so true. But I think from this period where Karlsson set the record at 185, we started to see max log in many, many competitions. Like each year, there was always attempts at world records. So just a year later, Hugo Girard, big rivalry of Sven Karlsson, he took the record up just by 1 kilo this time to 186 kilos. We know how much that can frustrate people when we only see records broken by 1 kilo.
It only really frustrates some fans, though.
Some fans.
Like, the athletes are pretty cool, aren't they?
The athletes are cool with it, and it's happened many, many times in Strongman and other strength sports as well.
So the following year, in 2004, would be the first time we would see Big Z, Laurence Shahlaei, break the log lift world record with 188 kilos. Now,
we know how he dominated the log lift for a long, long time. However, there was one man that got in the way of his total dominance, Raymond Bergmanis, in 2004 in a competition in Russia, Super Series in Russia, I believe it was. He took the record up to 190 kilos. And the amazing thing with this, he didn't expect to do it.
No, he said he'd have bad prep.
He was totally shocked that he managed to do it. But former Olympic weightlifter, great technique, a split jerker.
Yes, he was,
he managed to take the record up to 190.
And then a year later, at the 2005 IFSA Grand Prix in Hungary, was really when the mogging began. So that was the first time we saw a log lifted at 200 kilos, and it was, of course, Laurence.
And from then, it was total dominance by Laurence for many, many years.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was the only one to break his record then for many years. We've got some notable records here.
So between 2005 and 2008, he broke the record 3 more times, taking it up to 210 kilos.
And it didn't really even matter to Zydrunas that no one else was in contention. He was not messing about, because in 2012, we saw a massive jump up to 217.5 kilos, which he did at the Strongman Champions League in Holland.
Eventually, Zydrunas took the record all the way up to 228 kilos. He set that in front of Arnold himself in Brazil, and that was the last time Zydrunas set the world record on the log.
Yeah, he tried many times. I remember being at competitions like an Ultimate Strongman or something, and Zydrunas was there, and I was like, oh, what's Zydrunas doing here? Oh, he's going to have a crack at his log lift.
Yeah.
I must have seen that about 4 or 5 times.
Do you know, it must have been very tough for Zydrunas because he was out there on his own. He didn't feel he had the opposition to push him when it came to the log. I remember having conversations with him in his prime, asking him what he thought he was capable of. And he told me at the time he was capable of 240 kilos.
Wow.
And it's Zydrunas Savickas, so you don't question it. However, he never needed to push up to that level. And obviously doing it in competition is very different to talking about doing it in the gym. However, Zydrunas dominated the record for many, many years. And lots of incredible athletes tried to break that record. And it wasn't until 2021 when we eventually saw the record broken once again by 1 kilo by the monster that is Iron Biby. He lifted 229 kilos overhead. There was question marks about the lift at the time.
It was a controversial lift. It was deemed at the time because of the left arm, or the left elbow, if you like.
That's right. But last year, Iron Biby came back to the Log Lift World Championships and he put all those question marks to bed, where he lifted an absolutely incredible 230 kilos, which was just a superb lift. He looked like he had more in the tank. Then he nearly sent me flying. He was picking up women out of the crowd.
No,
it was just absolutely insane. And when you watch what Iron Biby does in the gym, his shoulder power is just insane.
What he can do out of a rack is absolutely, like, with no warm-up, just walk up to something and press it.
I mean, right now, I would say he is on his own when it comes to the log lifting. We've got some amazing log lifters, but Iron Biby is #1 when it comes to log. The question mark for Iron Biby is whether he can clean the weights.
Yes.
If he gets it up to his shoulders, it's a safe bet that it's going overhead. We wish him the best of luck this weekend.
Yeah. He looks massive.
I mean, if you guys know how big Evan Singleton is, Evan is a huge human, and I saw a picture of those two just last week, and Evan looks like a little boy next to Iron Biby. He is looking monstrously big for this record attempt. We wish him the best of luck. It's going to be an amazing event this weekend in Birmingham.
Yes.
Giants Live World Open and Log Lift World Championships. There are still tickets available, link in the description below, and if you can't get there, make sure you tune in to Official Strongman to watch along. So what do you think of that, guys? I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Iron Biby can break his world record? Which of these records is your favourite? I mean, for me, Zydrunas is always the greatest of all time, but records are there to set to be broken, and it's good to see Iron Biby taking the record even further up. How high can he push it, and who do we think can challenge him? It'd be good to see some big log lifters really push. There's guys in contention for like American records, national records, etc. But I think when it comes to the world record, right at this moment, he is the man.